the day I saw my husband holding my sister's hand in a wedding dress. I realized the two people I trusted most had destroyed my life. But what they didn't know was that their biggest secret was still in my hands. The rain was falling hard that night. Amara stood outside the big church in Lagos. Her hands were shaking. Her heart was beating fast. She did not want to believe what she had just heard. Her friend Tasha had called her only 10 minutes ago. Amara, I think you should come to St. Peter's Church right now. Why? Amara asked. Tasha sounded nervous. Just come. You need to see this with your own eyes. Now Amara was standing at the church door. The music inside was loud. Wedding music. Amara slowly pushed the door open. The church was full of people. Everyone was smiling. Everyone was clapping. She stepped inside quietly. Then she looked at the front of the church. And her whole world broke. Standing at the altar was her husband, Daniel. And beside him, wearing a beautiful white wedding dress, was her younger sister, Lila. Amara felt like the ground disappeared under her feet. No, she whispered. Her voice was shaking. This is not real. The priest raised his hand. Do you, Daniel Cole, take Lila Cole to be your lawful wife? Daniel smiled. I do. Amara's chest felt tight. Her breathing became heavy. She looked at Lila, her own sister, the girl she raised like a daughter, the girl she trusted with everything. Lila looked happy. Too happy. Then the priest spoke again. And do you, Lila, take Daniel Cole to be your husband? Lila looked at Daniel with love in her eyes. I do. The guests started clapping loudly. Amara could not move. Tears slowly ran down her face. 3 years. She had been married to Daniel for 3 years. 3 years of love. 3 years of trust. And now he was marrying her sister. Suddenly Daniel turned his head. His eyes met Amara. For a moment, his smile disappeared. Shock filled his face. Amara. The whole church turned to look. Whispers filled the room. That's his first wife. Isn't that Amara? What is she doing here? Amara slowly walked forward. Her heels echoed in the silent church. Lila's smile faded. Sister, what are you doing here? Lila asked softly. Amara stopped in front of them. Her eyes were red from crying. But her voice was calm. Very calm. Lila, Amara said. How long? Lila looked nervous. What do you mean? Amara looked at Daniel. How long have you been sleeping with my sister? Gasps filled the church. Daniel rubbed his face. Amara, please. This is not the place. Amara laughed bitterly. Oh, really? Then where was the right place to marry my sister? No one spoke. The room was silent. Then Lila suddenly held Daniel's arm. You should tell her the truth, she said. Amara's heart pounded. Daniel looked uncomfortable. But then he sighed. Amara, I wanted to tell you. Tell me what? Daniel looked straight into her eyes. I don't love you anymore. The words hit her like a bullet. I love Lila. Amara felt her heart shatter. 3 years. 3 years meant nothing to him. Then Daniel said something even worse. And the truth is, Lila is pregnant. The room exploded with whispers. Amara stared at her sister. Pregnant? Her legs felt weak. But then something changed inside her. The tears stopped. Her face became cold. Very cold. She slowly smiled. Congratulations, she said quietly. Everyone looked confused. Amara looked at both of them. You two think you won. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? Amara stepped closer. Her voice dropped to a whisper. You forgot something very important. Lila looked nervous. What? Amara's eyes became sharp. The gun Daniel hid the night your father died. Daniel's face turned pale. Completely pale. How do you know about that? He whispered. Amara smiled slowly. Because at that moment, she realized their marriage secret was about to destroy them both. The church suddenly felt cold. Daniel stared at Amara like he had seen a ghost. Lila's hands began to shake. What gun? Lila asked nervously. Amara folded her arms. Oh, you didn't tell her? Daniel quickly stepped forward. Amara, stop this. Stop what? She asked calmly. Stop lying. Daniel looked around at the shocked guests. Everyone, please calm down. My wife is emotional. Ex-wife, Lila corrected softly. Amara laughed. That's funny. Then she looked directly at Lila. Tell me, sister, did Daniel tell you how your father really died? Lila's eyes widened. My father died from a heart attack. Amara slowly shook her head. No. The church became silent again. Amara pointed at Daniel. He was there that night. Daniel shouted suddenly. Enough. His voice echoed loudly. People jumped in shock. But Amara did not move. She looked straight into his eyes. You're scared, aren't you? Daniel clenched his fists. You don't know anything. Oh, I know everything, Amara replied. Lila grabbed Daniel's arm. Daniel, what is she talking about? Daniel stayed silent. That silence made Lila even more afraid. Daniel, answer me. Amara smiled slowly. 3 months ago, Amara said, I found something in Daniel's office. Daniel's breathing became heavy. A small black box. The guests watched closely. Amara continued. Inside the box was a gun. Lila frowned. So what? Amara looked at her. The gun still had 1 bullet missing. Daniel suddenly stepped closer. Amara, you need to leave. But Amara ignored him. There was also a photo, she continued. A photo of Daniel and your father arguing. Lila looked confused. What argument? Amara's voice became serious. Your father found out Daniel was stealing money from the family company. Gasps filled the church again. Lila slowly looked at Daniel. Is that true? Daniel did not answer. That silence felt louder than words. Amara spoke again. They fought in his office. Your father threatened to call the police. Lila's heart began racing. No. Amara nodded slowly. And then a gun was fired. Lila stepped back. That's impossible. Daniel suddenly grabbed Amara's arm. Stop lying. Amara pulled her arm away. Then explain the gun, Daniel. Daniel's face was full of anger. But there was fear in his eyes too. Lila looked between them. Daniel, please tell me she's lying. For a long moment, Daniel said nothing. Then he looked down. His silence was the answer. Lila's face turned pale. You killed my father? Daniel shook his head quickly. No, it was an accident. The room exploded with noise. People began whispering loudly. Lila felt like she could not breathe. An accident. Daniel ran his hands through his hair. He attacked me first. He grabbed the gun. We struggled. And then it fired. Lila's eyes filled with tears. My father is dead because of you? Daniel tried to hold her hand. But she pushed him away. Amara watched quietly. Then she said something that shocked everyone. And that's not even the worst part. Daniel's head snapped up. Amara. But she continued. The worst part is why Daniel married you. Lila's voice trembled. What do you mean? Amara looked straight at her. He married you so you would never suspect him. Silence. Heavy silence. Then Amara added softly. Because the gun that killed your father. She paused. Is still hidden in your apartment. Daniel's face turned white again. Because in that moment, he realized Amara knew far more than he ever imagined. The church was filled with chaos. People were whispering. Some guests were already leaving their seats. The priest looked confused and scared. Lila stood in the middle of the altar, shaking. Her wedding dress suddenly felt heavy. She looked at Daniel with pain in her eyes. Tell me the truth, she said softly. Did you kill my father? Daniel looked desperate. I told you it was an accident. Lila's voice became louder. Then why did you hide the gun? Daniel opened his mouth, but no words came out. Amara watched everything quietly. Then she said something that made everyone freeze. I have proof. Daniel's head snapped toward her. What proof? Amara slowly took out her phone. I recorded your phone call 2 weeks ago. The room became silent again. Daniel's face turned pale. That's impossible. Amara pressed play. Daniel's voice came from the phone speaker. I can't let Lila know the truth. If she finds the gun, everything is over. Gasps filled the church. Lila covered her mouth in shock. Daniel. Daniel looked around nervously. Listen, it's not what it sounds like. But Amara was not finished. She played another part of the recording. Daniel's voice again. I married her to control the situation. If she suspects me, I'm finished. The phone went silent. The truth was now clear. Lila felt like someone stabbed her heart. You used me, she whispered. Daniel stepped closer. No, Lila. I love you. I swear. But Lila stepped back. Don't touch me. Tears rolled down her cheeks. You married me to hide your crime. Daniel looked angry now. Amara planned this. He pointed at Amara. She's trying to destroy us. Amara smiled calmly. Destroy you. She looked at Lila. I tried to warn you months ago. Lila looked confused. What? Amara nodded slowly. I saw Daniel meeting strange people. Dangerous people. Daniel shouted again. That's a lie. But Amara continued. He borrowed a lot of money. Lila's heart skipped. Money? Amara looked directly at Daniel. $2 million. The guests gasped again. Lila turned to Daniel. Is that true? Daniel stayed silent. And that silence said everything. Amara crossed her arms. The night your father died, he discovered Daniel was working with criminals. Daniel's voice became cold. You talk too much. Amara smiled again. I'm just getting started. Lila felt dizzy. Her wedding day had turned into a nightmare. Her father's death. Daniel's secret. The lies. Everything was crashing down. But then Daniel suddenly laughed. A dark laugh. Everyone looked at him. You think you won, Amara? Amara frowned. Daniel's eyes looked dangerous. You forgot one thing. What? Amara asked. Daniel leaned closer. The gun is not the only secret. Amara felt a chill. What are you talking about? Daniel's smile became darker. You think your sister is innocent? Lila looked confused. Daniel, stop. But Daniel said something that shocked everyone. The truth is, Lila knew about the gun. Amara's eyes widened. What? Lila's face turned pale. Daniel. Daniel laughed again. She helped me hide it. The church exploded with noise again. Amara stared at her sister. Her voice became cold. Tell me he's lying. Lila could not look at her. That silence felt like betrayal. Amara's heart broke again. Because in that moment she realized something terrifying. Her sister was not just a victim. She was part of the secret. Amara felt like she could not breathe. Her own sister had betrayed her. Lila, she whispered. Tell me the truth. Lila looked at the ground. Her hands were shaking badly. I didn't want this, she said quietly. Amara felt anger rising inside her. You helped him hide the gun? Lila finally looked up. Tears filled her eyes. Yes. The word felt like a knife. Amara stepped back. You knew your father died because of him, and you still married him? Lila cried harder. You don't understand. Then explain it. Amara shouted. The whole church was silent again. Lila wiped her tears. Daniel told me the truth months ago. Amara felt shocked. He told you. Lila nodded slowly. He said it was an accident. And you believed him? Amara asked. Lila looked broken. He said criminals were after him. Amara frowned. What criminals? Daniel suddenly spoke. The people I owe money to. Everyone looked at him again. Daniel looked tired now. They are dangerous people. Amara crossed her arms. So your solution was to marry my sister? Daniel nodded slowly. Yes. Lila spoke again. He said if we worked together, we could fix everything. Amara laughed bitterly. Fix murder. Daniel's eyes became cold. I didn't murder anyone. The tension in the room was heavy. Then Amara asked a question. Where's the gun now? Daniel stayed silent. Lila looked scared. Daniel. Daniel finally spoke. I moved it. Amara narrowed her eyes. Where? Daniel smiled slightly. You'll never find it. But Lila suddenly spoke. That's not true. Daniel turned to her quickly. Lila, stop. But Lila was crying again. You hid it in the old warehouse. Daniel looked furious. You idiot. Amara felt a new wave of shock. Warehouse. Lila nodded slowly. The one near the Lagos docks. Amara immediately took out her phone. Daniel tried to grab it. But Amara stepped back. What are you doing? He asked. She looked straight at him. I'm calling the police. Daniel's face became dangerous. No, you're not. Before anyone understood what was happening, Daniel suddenly pulled out a gun from inside his jacket. People screamed. The guests ran toward the doors. The priest hid behind a chair. Daniel pointed the gun at Amara. His voice was calm. Too calm. You should have stayed quiet. Amara's heart pounded loudly. You won't shoot me, she said bravely. Daniel smiled slowly. You're wrong. Then he said something terrifying. Because this time, it won't be an accident. Lila screamed. Daniel, stop. But Daniel ignored her. His finger slowly moved on the trigger. Amara closed her eyes for a moment. She thought it was the end. But then something unexpected happened. Lila suddenly stepped in front of Amara. No. Everyone froze. Daniel's hand trembled. Move, Lila. But she shook her head. You already destroyed my family. Her voice was shaking. But I won't let you kill my sister. Daniel looked furious. Move. Lila didn't move. Tears rolled down her face. Shoot me first. The church was silent again. Then suddenly, a loud gunshot exploded in the room. The loud gunshot echoed inside the church. People screamed. Some guests ran outside. Others hid behind the chairs. For a moment, everything felt slow. Amara slowly opened her eyes. She looked at Lila. Lila was still standing in front of her. But something was wrong. Very wrong. Lila's white wedding dress was turning red. Blood slowly spread across her chest. Lila, Amara whispered. Lila looked down at herself. Her hands were shaking. I think he shot me, she said weakly. Amara rushed forward and caught her before she fell. No, stay with me. Daniel stared at them. His face showed shock. I didn't mean to, he whispered. But it was too late. Lila collapsed into Amara's arms. Tears ran down Amara's face. You stupid girl, Amara cried. Why did you do that? Lila looked at her sister with weak eyes. I deserved it. Amara shook her head. No. But Lila spoke again. I helped him hide the gun. Her breathing became heavy. I betrayed you. Amara held her tighter. Stop talking like that. But Lila continued. There's something you don't know. Amara frowned. What? Lila grabbed Amara's hand weakly. The warehouse, it's a trap. Amara froze. A trap. Lila nodded slowly. Yes. She looked toward Daniel. Those criminals are meeting him there tonight. Daniel's face turned pale. Shut up, Lila. But Lila ignored him. They want the money. Amara felt confused. What money? Lila's voice became weaker. $10 million. Gasps came from the few guests still inside. Amara stared at Daniel. You owe them $10 million? Daniel looked angry. But he said nothing. Lila continued speaking slowly. If Daniel doesn't pay, they will kill him. Amara felt cold. Then let them. But Lila shook her head. They won't stop with him. Amara frowned. What do you mean? Lila whispered something shocking. They want you too. Amara's eyes widened. Me? Lila nodded weakly. Yes, because Daniel promised them something. Daniel shouted. Lila stopped talking. But Lila finished the sentence. He promised them you. The room became silent. Amara felt her blood turn cold. What do you mean he promised me? Lila looked at Daniel. He told them you are rich. Daniel tried to defend himself. I had no choice. Amara stared at him with disgust. You sold me. Daniel shouted back. I was desperate. Lila's breathing became slower. Amara, listen to me. Amara looked down at her sister. Please, go to the warehouse tonight. Why? Lila whispered. Because the money is not Daniel's. Amara frowned. Then whose is it? Lila gave a weak smile. Yours. Amara felt shocked. My money. Lila nodded slowly. Yes. Then she said something that made Amara's heart stop. Our father left everything to you. Daniel suddenly looked terrified. Because in that moment, Amara realized Daniel did not just betray her. He married her sister to steal her entire fortune. The sound of police sirens started outside the church. Someone had called the police. Daniel heard it too. His face became tense. Damn it, he muttered. He quickly pointed the gun at Amara again. Give me your phone. Amara looked at him calmly. Why? I'm leaving, Daniel said. And you're coming with me. Amara shook her head. I'm not going anywhere with you. Daniel stepped closer. You don't have a choice. But suddenly Lila grabbed his leg weakly. Daniel looked down. Let go. But Lila held him tighter. You're not hurting my sister again. Daniel kicked her away angrily. Stay down. Amara felt rage burn inside her. You're a monster. Daniel ignored her. The police sirens were getting closer. He looked toward the church door. Then back at Amara. You're coming with me to the warehouse. Why? Amara asked again. Daniel smiled darkly. Because you're the only way I survive tonight. Amara understood immediately. The money. Daniel nodded. Exactly. Amara looked at Lila on the floor. Her sister was barely breathing. Then Amara slowly stood up. Fine. Daniel looked surprised. You'll come. Amara nodded. Yes. But on one condition. Daniel frowned. What condition? Amara looked straight into his eyes. Lila goes to the hospital. Daniel hesitated. But the police sirens were very close now. He had no time. Fine, he said. He grabbed Amara's arm. We're leaving now. They rushed out through the back door of the church. The night air was cold. Rain was still falling. Daniel pushed Amara into his black car. Then he jumped into the driver's seat. The engine roared to life. The car sped into the dark streets of Lagos. For a few minutes neither of them spoke. Finally Amara broke the silence. You're making a big mistake. Daniel laughed. No. I'm fixing my problems. Amara looked out the window. You think those criminals will let you live? Daniel's smile disappeared. They will once they get their money. Amara turned toward him. And after that? Daniel didn't answer. The truth was obvious. Those criminals never let witnesses live. Daniel drove faster. Soon the city lights disappeared. The road became darker. Old buildings appeared near the docks. Then the car stopped in front of a huge abandoned warehouse. Daniel looked at Amara. We're here. The rain hit the roof loudly. The place looked dangerous. Amara slowly opened the car door. Inside the warehouse, dim lights were glowing. And shadows were moving. Daniel whispered nervously. They're already here. Amara walked forward slowly. Then suddenly the warehouse doors opened wider. Several armed men stepped out. And behind them stood a tall man in a black coat. His eyes were cold. Very cold. He smiled when he saw Daniel. Daniel Cole. His voice was deep. You're late. Daniel swallowed nervously. I brought the money. The man looked at Amara. Then he smiled again. Oh, I know. Amara felt a strange chill. Because the man suddenly said something shocking. Welcome back. Amara Cole. Daniel frowned. What? The man looked at Amara with respect. Boss, we've been waiting for you. Daniel's face turned white. Because in that moment, he realized something terrifying. The criminals he feared were actually working for Amara. Daniel felt like the world stopped. Rain was falling outside the warehouse. Thunder rumbled in the distance. The tall man in the black coat walked closer to Amara. Then something unbelievable happened. All the armed men around them lowered their guns. They looked at Amara with respect. Boss, the tall man said again. Daniel stared at Amara. His voice shook. What is this? Amara slowly turned toward him. Her face was calm. Very calm. You really thought you knew everything about me? Daniel's hands started shaking. You're working with them? Amara smiled slightly. No. She looked around the warehouse. They work for me. Daniel stepped back in shock. That's impossible. The tall man spoke again. My name is Victor. He nodded respectfully to Amara. She saved our lives 3 years ago. Daniel looked confused. What are you talking about? Victor explained calmly. When our old boss tried to kill us, Amara helped us escape. Daniel shook his head. That makes no sense. Amara folded her arms. You were always too busy cheating and lying. She walked slowly toward him. So you never noticed where I went at night? Daniel's heart started racing. You built a criminal empire? Amara looked him straight in the eyes. No. She spoke quietly. I built protection. Victor nodded. We run security operations now. Daniel laughed nervously. This is crazy. But no one else was laughing. Amara continued. After my father died, I knew something was wrong. Daniel froze. You investigated? Amara nodded. Yes. I discovered you were stealing money. Daniel's breathing became heavy. And when I found the gun, everything became clear. Victor stepped closer. Daniel Cole, he said coldly. You owe a lot of money. Daniel looked around desperately. I can pay. Victor shook his head. Too late. Daniel suddenly pointed his gun at Amara again. Everyone back away. The men in the warehouse quickly aimed their weapons at him. But Amara raised her hand. Wait. Everyone stopped. Daniel smiled nervously. That's better. He slowly moved closer to Amara. You think you're powerful now? Amara did not move. You killed my father, she said quietly. Daniel shouted back. It was an accident. Amara's eyes became cold. And you married my sister to hide it. Daniel said nothing. Amara stepped closer. Then you sold me to criminals. Daniel whispered angrily. I was desperate. Amara nodded slowly. Yes, you were. The rain outside became heavier. Daniel's hand trembled on the gun. Give me the money and I'll disappear. Amara looked at Victor. Victor nodded. One of the men brought a metal suitcase. He placed it on the table. Daniel's eyes lit up. Good. Amara slowly opened the suitcase. Stacks of money filled the case. $10 million. Daniel smiled with relief. Finally. But Amara suddenly closed the suitcase again. Daniel frowned. What are you doing? Amara looked straight at him. Teaching you something. Daniel became angry. I'm not playing games. But Amara spoke calmly. Greed destroys people. Daniel's patience snapped. Give me the money. But before anyone could react, Daniel suddenly fired his gun. Bang! The shot echoed through the warehouse. The gunshot echoed loudly. But something strange happened. Amara was still standing. She was not hurt. Daniel's eyes widened. What? Victor smiled coldly. You missed. Before Daniel could react, several armed men rushed forward. They knocked the gun out of his hand. Daniel fell to the floor. He tried to fight, but there were too many men. Within seconds, his hands were tied. Daniel shouted angrily. Let me go. Amara walked toward him slowly. Rain was still hitting the roof. You lost, Daniel. Daniel glared at her. You think this is over? Amara shook her head. No. It's just the truth catching up. Police sirens suddenly filled the night. Daniel looked confused. You called the police? Amara nodded. Yes. Victor smiled. We already gave them the evidence. Daniel's face turned pale. What evidence? Amara spoke calmly. The recording of your confession. Daniel remembered the phone recording in the church. His heart sank. You planned everything. Amara looked at him with sadness. I trusted you. Daniel laughed bitterly. Love makes people stupid. Amara shook her head. No. Greed does. Red and blue police lights flashed outside the warehouse. Several police cars stopped. Officers rushed inside. They saw Daniel tied on the ground. One officer looked at Amara. Are you okay, ma'am? Amara nodded. Yes. The police officer turned to his team. Arrest him. Two officers pulled Daniel up. He struggled. You think this ends here? Amara looked at him calmly. It already ended. Daniel was dragged outside into the rain. The police car door slammed shut. The sirens faded as they drove away. The warehouse became quiet again. Victor looked at Amara. What about your sister? Amara's face became serious. She's in the hospital. Victor nodded. She saved your life. Amara looked toward the rainy night. Yes. There was silence for a moment. Then Victor asked softly, what will you do now? Amara took a deep breath. For the first time in years, I will live honestly. Victor smiled. That's a good plan. Amara looked up at the dark sky. Her heart still hurt. Her husband betrayed her. Her sister betrayed her. Her father was gone. But the truth finally came out, and justice was done. She whispered quietly to herself. Sometimes the people closest to you can destroy your life, but the truth will always win in the end. If this story touched your heart, tell me in the comments, what would you do if you were Amara? And don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful stories.